So it was priced at £3.30 a share when the government sold it to the public. But when trading in Royal Mail shares began this morning, they soon leapt to £4.50, a potential loss to the taxpayer of £700 million. The opposition and the unions say the company was undervalued and the sale botched. But the Business Secretary Vince Cable dismissed the first day's trading as froth and said the real value would emerge in 3 months' time. Paul Mason reports.
For all those city types who missed the 1980s, today was their chance to relive them. Few of these traders at the spread betting firm IG have even seen a big British share issue, and when it happened, there was that old familiar feeling that somebody out there was making easy money.
CKD 77, yeah?
K Kilo Golf 546, 682.
So the market's been open about 15 minutes, and what the screens are telling us is that there are 62 million shares being asked for and only 2 million available. Now, the price it started at is really high, £4.50. What that effectively means is that money that could have gone into Royal Mail has gone into the pockets of the people who were given the shares. And those who were buying this morning were those who had missed out on their share allocation. What kind of people have been on the phones this morning to try and buy more Royal Mail stock?
It doesn't seem like it's people who've been trying to buy more. It seems to be people who would have perhaps either missed out because they didn't apply originally, or a lot of our high net worth clients who perhaps have gone in for 10,000 or more who won't have got any allocation. That seems to be what we've spoken to. We've spoken to a number of our institutional clients who are looking after money on behalf of other clients, and they're kind of putting in small orders across a wide number of clients. So it does seem to have kind of crossed our entire kind of client base today.
The government had priced Royal Mail shares at £3.30, but those who sold them pronto this morning were taking £4.50, and that values the company at £1.1 billion more than it was worth at issue. And the government could have had at least 700 million of that. As the shares were sold, the Postal Workers Union held a smallish demo outside the stock exchange. They're against the sell-off, but their leader today thought the price paid was way too low.
Well, the share price has gone up 38% in the last few hours. If you were selling your house and the very next day the house price went up 38%, you'd be looking at your people who helped sell you the house and say, what's gone on here? This is an outrage, really. And, I don't think the Business Secretary Vince Cable can make light of that. 38% increase in the value of Royal Mail, so the British public have been shortchanged on the sale.
The Business Secretary, Vince Cable, did have the option to hike the selling price if demand proved high, but he didn't. Surely you could have overridden the offer price, even at the last moment.
I could have done, and I could have joined the speculators and spivs. I wasn't interested in doing that. I'm interested in having a stable, long-term shareholder base for the company that will help it to compete and perform its universal service. We want the right kind of investors, the long-term investors, as well as the British small investors. We're not interested in joining in the froth in the speculative.
But Mr. Cable, underpricing a share issue encourages speculators and spivs, doesn't it?
We sold at the top end of a range which had been very carefully thought through as a result of establishing the value over a long period of time in a market which is inherently unstable. If the American stock market had crashed, as it could have done a couple of weeks ago, it could well do in future, you'd be standing asking me, why is it we didn't manage to sell any shares?
For all the parallels being drawn with the 80s, there's a big difference. Investors are being forced into buying shares by the Bank of England's policy of printing money, which makes interest rates for savers painfully low. Plus, wages are falling. So though there is growth, there are still risks out there. As for the Royal Mail, its managers have little time to celebrate. There's a strike vote Wednesday.